part of it, is that this is how I display my submission. One of the ways in which I display my submission to the will of my God. Okay, this is one of the ways that I choose as a Muslim woman
You were
to
not
do that.
wearing
Hijab a number of years ago.
Yes. So how that
I started
transition?
in 1999, and actually I started in 1994, right after I went to pilgrimage. Alhamdulillah, I did the Hajj, and it was the way.
So what happened
actually,
at the pilgrimage?
At the pilgrimage, it was a personal experience, and that's really, I don't want to spend too much time on it here, but على جبل الرحمة and على وقفة عرفات, when I sit on the Jabal of Arafat, and I didn't want to come. I didn't want to come down. I did not want to go back to the rest of the world. I wanted to stay there. Oh, it was unbelievable. And there was a transformation inside of me.
Wow.
There was a transformation inside of me that said, you need to humble yourself more. I've always been a very confident person. I've always been, alhamdulillah wa shukrullah, very successful, etc., etc. And somehow God said, you know what? You're not going to get closer to me unless you're humbled. And so I started that. There was a hiatus of about 5 years where actually my family objected to it, believe it or not. But then in 1999, I decided for sure that's what, and I have been since then. And I have been at the receiving end of much admiration on the one hand in certain circles, and a lot of other people, much hate. There is a woman who spat in my face. There is a kid, a 17-year-old, who at one of the department stores said to his mom, "Mom, guess who's here? It's Mrs. Bin Laden."
Mrs. Bin Laden. He saw Mrs. Bin Laden.
And I waited for a couple of seconds just to see how his mother would react. She didn't. She looked at me and she looked back. And so I responded to him. I said, "Don't you wish?" And I walked out.
Yeah.
And all kinds of things in between. Now, going back to it, it's not a woman's choice anymore. Not just a personal choice. Why? Because it does project something about we are here. It's a visible way of saying, not as a woman, as a Muslim.
As a Muslim.
The reason we Muslim women are being
singled out.
Not singled out, but perhaps focused upon a little bit more than single men, is a lot of single men like yourself, for instance, don't dress in anything that indicates that they are. You dress modestly, like I did before I wore al-abaya, but it doesn't indicate that, you know, you could be Spanish, you could be anything, and that's why you don't get as much focus.
The identity of the hijab is Islamic identity.
No.
But we said before it wasn't really.
It didn't start out that way. But you know, especially in the 21st century, and especially in the consumerist culture in which we live, and the soundbite cultures, okay, people want symbols with which they can identify very quickly. She's Muslim. He's Muslim. If you walk around, or for instance, the Jews, when they wear the kippah or the yarmulke, you're very easily identified. Consumerist cultures are very lazy cultures. They do not want to get into. They do not want to get to know you really from within. They want something to indicate to you whether you're good, bad, or somewhere in between, and move on. So
drive-through culture.
Right. Drive-through culture. Yeah, that's an excellent way of putting it. Drive-through culture.
I have a theory there.
Yes, it is a drive-through.
You have to have a car first.
So that's what seems to be happening here. Now, as far as Europe is concerned, it's a little bit different than the United States. Europe is much more secular than the United States. And they have departed from being from the strict religious observance for much longer than the United States has. The United States, at least some of the people, actually quite a few of the people here, tend to identify with us as people of faith. You've been in the interfaith community, interfaith work for so many years yourself, and you know that. Europe is harder because in Europe, they don't want any kind of religious demonstration of any kind. Yes. Now, the only exception, of course, that we can come back to them is you can't take a Jewish person's yarmulke of his head.
Is that dress?
You don't.
That's not dress.
Of course it's dress. What is it?
So what is
What's
why,
the difference?
Why is that?
Yeah, okay. Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Are we
because
asking
it's
that question
fashionable.
or?
Because it's fashionable to be anti-Muslim right now. All right, because
Which is anti-Semitic in a way.
well, it is anti-Semitic, but that's beside the point. Still, we are particularly targeted for that right now, and 9/11 did not help. By the way, it started long before 9/11. It started perhaps when Ayatollah Khomeini came to power in 1979, and the hostage situation in Iran and what have you. I think that's
Well,
when
every
that
10
moved.
years we invade country or fight country, and then we pay attention to that country, and then we become hostile to their culture. But what I'm saying is, in the 70s, when the French actress Grace Kelly, she has this nice, beautiful scarf and hijab. This is the golden age of hijab, and because everybody was.
It wasn't hijab though.
Well, I mean,
It was fashionable.
it was
And
fashion.
to this day.
So, is it the hijab itself, or who is wearing the hijab
Yes,
is
of
the
course.
problem?
No, it's the connotation of the hijab and the context of the hijab. Okay. In other words, when you see a woman covering her hair, but the rest of her body is not modest, you call her a hijabi woman, meaning you're making a mockery
Well,
of
actually,
hijab.
since we have this para, I mean, you know Fahim, Faraheen Fahim. That's her business card. She calls herself the hijabi.
Oh, that's okay.
And-
That's
and-
okay. But
and-
I know the connotation.
Yeah,
you
she
know, you
used
meant
that as a strong statement against this hostility. She called herself hijabi woman. And I had her on a show, and I know she's very strong, very confident of her decision. What you're telling me now, a lot of people wear hijab for different reasons.
Yes.
And but why the West, and I don't want to generalize, but in general, cannot accept that the fact that Muslim women can choose what they wear instead of choosing what Calvin Klein or Liz, whatever, are telling them. I mean, if that hijab was designed by Calvin Klein, whatever, it would have been accepted much, much easier in the
Right,
mainstream
but Muslim
culture.
women don't only wear the hijab. Those who are, and it all depends on the level of
No,
strictness.
exactly.
But it's not just covering. What are you talking about when you say hijab? Are you talking about covering the hair? My hair
Any
is so.
Islamic
Are you talking about covering the
niqab.
face? Are you talking about? I heard a lady from the French Information Ministry on Lebanese television a couple of nights ago talking about we outlaw a whole bunch of other things, and you Muslims did not object to it. Like, for instance, nudity. He said you cannot walk in the street.
Yeah.
You cannot walk in the street with your face covered,
Yeah.
but you cannot walk in the street nude.
Yeah.
Why are you not objecting to this one rule rather than one
Interesting,
rule?
yeah.
Okay, let me, for the sake of time also, let me just tell you
Sort it out.
what I'm thinking. We Muslims have to decide where we stand from the hijab, because let's face it, there is
Among ourselves.
Yes, there is quite a bit of controversy within the Muslim community. What constitutes proper Muslim woman dress? And I might add from my side as a woman, what constitutes a Muslim man's dress? I have sent a young
But
man
the debate only
from the
was
mosque.
about women, not about men.
And why is that?
I have no idea.
No, you don't have an idea, because the issue is who's in control. Okay,
And it's not any different than the Muslim war. The man's in control.
If you're speaking rationally, okay, if you're speaking logically, that's the case. Okay, but there are a lot of practices that really do not apply within our community, and because we are a minority community, we tend naturally to be very protective of our secrets. We don't want to let a lot of things, faster. Do you know, for instance, that there are people, Muslims in the United States, who have more than one wife? Yes, you do know that. And you probably know some people. Okay, all right.
Not going to mention
We're
names.
not